back to Sugar Pie Nellie, you guys. So I got a little story for you. So I go out to the garden yesterday and I have not a huge batch, but just a little bit to make maybe 1 or 2 jars of some kind of pickled cucumbers. Well, anyways, I always like to do that in small batches, by the way, just because it's more crisp and that's the way I like them. So I will do several jars and several cannings throughout the summer just to make sure I get them in there while they're fresh. So I got enough for 1 to 2 jars this morning. But yesterday, my daughter's moved out on her own, going to college and all that good stuff. Well, I messaged her and I told her, hey, looky here, I got some cucumbers I'm going to start canning up. Now, I know that she absolutely loves bread and butter pickles. So before I even got a chance to tell her, would you like me to put up a jar for you? She wrote back and she goes, do you think that you could put me up a couple jars of that bread and butter pickles? So anyway, she is still taking the country with her, you guys. It don't matter where you go, what your kids do, when they are born and raised in the country, living off of these canning jars of food and pickles and tomatoes and relish and all this good stuff. It warms a mama's heart to know that no matter where she goes, she's still got that little country in her, guys, okay? Oh yeah. So anyways, that really tickled me. And so today I am going to put her up, go ahead and put up a couple jars of that for her. And I told her, I said, I'll go ahead and put you up several jars and bring them to you when I come to see you. Anyway, she wrote back and she said, that's what I'm talking about. So anyways, that's what we are going to do today. So I've just begun sterilizing my jar right on the canner on the stove. And the only thing I'm going to do now is go ahead and slice the cucumbers into the jars. And you'll want to wash those and slice them up. Now you can leave them whole, but for bread and butter pickles, I do think that it's more flavorful and a better flavor if you go ahead and slice those. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with that, and then I'll be back to show you how to prepare the brine for this. Okay, so I got these sliced, and I just wanted to show you guys that all you're going to do is pack them into a jar. But now when you are putting these in here, so I just wanted to mention a couple of things. The first thing is that when I am rinsing these off and kind of washing these off, I like to use extra cold water. You can even actually place these in ice water if you want to, just to help it retain more of that crispy crunch when you bite into that pickle. But when you are putting these into the jars, don't be skimpy on the amount that you put in. You want to make sure that you pack those in tightly, squeezing them down into the jars, because I promise you, I don't care how many that you pack in here, there is still going to be them floating as soon as it's done canning, okay? So you want to make sure that it is as tight as possible. But yet you do want to make sure that the brine covers all of them. So just pack them in as tight as possible and then go on to your next jar. So, and you can just kind of squeeze them down into the sides like that and just pack them in as tight as you can, and that get as many as you can per jar. So anyways, I had 5 cucumbers. A couple of them was fairly large. So this actually made more than I thought. I thought I was just going to get a couple of jars there, but there we go. Awesome. We can never have too many of these around here. We love them for pickling. The bread and butter, dill pickles especially. We do love fried pickles, so I will have that throughout the year too. And then of course any sandwich or hamburger needs some dill pickles. So let me grab a couple more jars, get those sterilized, and then we'll pack the rest of these. Okay, so our cucumbers did very well this year. Instead of the ground, no more bending over. Instead of the ground, my husband on 2 main wooden raised beds. They're huge boxes that we have. And anyways, in between the 2, he made an arch using a cattle panel. And so we grew our cucumbers up over that arch. And let me tell you, if you have not done that, it is so nice to be able to go and just pull those right off while standing. They actually grow on both sides. It's so nice. And anyways, no more back breaking work. So anyways, even though I'm old fashioned in a lot of things I do, making things easier in the garden, yeah, that's not one of them. So anyways, you don't, if there is a better way to keep it from being back broken, then I will do that. So, and then these are just a few extras. Let me see. I might be able to squeeze those in somewhere. If it's just a few like that, I'll try to pack them in if they'll fit. And if not, and say you got like a cucumber left, you can always cut that up with like an onion and a little bit of vinegar water and have that served with supper. Okay, so that's going to be about it. So we're just going to set these aside for now, and then I'm going to show you how to mix up the brine. Now, for the brine, I am using, I like using the Mrs. Wages. It's the bread and butter pickles, and I will use this whole entire pack. It doesn't matter. Now, it calls for 2 pounds of the pickling cucumbers, which is about 10 of them, but however, the brine is going to be poured over these jars no matter how many cucumbers that you have. So even if you want to do a small batch, I still go ahead and mix out the whole entire pack of this according to the directions. And then if you was to have any brine left over, you can refrigerate that up to a week, because if anybody has grown cucumbers, you know that when you have some this little, we got a whole bunch of those left on that vine, then you know that in a couple of days, those things can get away from you quick. So I will be using that brine here within a week. So to get started, all you need is a packet of this. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is go ahead and let's put our 2 cups of vinegar. There's our vinegar. And then I just follow these instructions, guys. So it's a 1/2 cup of water. And I do like to use sterilized water. Anytime I can, I do like to use sterilized water, okay? And then 1.5 cups of sugar. 1.5. And then, of course, our packet. Okay, so we're just going to bring this to a boil until everything dissolves, and then we're going to pack it right into our jars. All right, once this has reached a boil, we're just going to remove it from the heat. Bring this over here. And then we are just going to fill our jars. Okay, so we want to fill these to a 1/4 inch headspace. Now, I did want to mention that if for any reason that you don't have enough of this brine, then you can add, it's 3 parts water to 1 cup vinegar, and you can use that to finish filling your jars. And you do want to make sure that everything is covered. Just seeing if I can't mash that down in there. You just want to make sure they're all covered. And that does get a little bit sticky, especially with the bread and butter ones around here. So you want to make sure that you wipe off your jar there. And then this, you just want to make sure that's about fingertip tight. And then go ahead and stick that down into your hot canner. And we'll do that for the rest of them. I like to go ahead and finish filling up my canner, making sure that you cover the jars 1 to 2 inches above them. And I'll go ahead and turn this to high to go ahead and be heating up. Right, then just place on the lid, and these will process pints for 15 minutes, quarts for 25 minutes.
Making those jams.